Good morning. Welcome to the Mind of STEM channel, where you get your daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. My name is Leon Jones, and in this segment, I want to talk about environmental science. So, the topic of today's discussion is: what is environmental science? What is environmental science? Now, this is a very important topic because environmental science involves a number of topics. We get into soil science, we get into oceanography, we get into ecology. But with all those sub-branches of environmental science, what is the real definition of environmental science and what's involved with environmental science? Well, I'm going to give you that information right now. When we talk about environmental science, one must understand that environmental science is an interdisciplinary academic discipline that involves other sciences. Again, environmental science is an interdisciplinary academic field that integrates physical, biological, and information sciences. Now, the information sciences that I'm talking about are physics, chemistry, biology, and ecology. There's also zoology, plant science, mineralogy, oceanography, limnology, soil science, geology, physical geology, and atmospheric science to the study of the environment and the solution of environmental problems. Now, environmental science emerged from the fields of natural history and medicine during the Enlightenment. So today it provides an integrated, quantitative, and interdisciplinary approach to the field of environmental systems. Now, environmental science incorporates more of the sciences for understanding human relationships, perceptions, and policies towards the environment. So when it comes to environmental engineering, well, environmental engineering focuses on the design and technology for improving environmental quality in every aspect. Now, environmental scientists work on subjects like understanding the Earth's processes while evaluating alternative energy systems, pollution control, mitigation, natural resource management, and the effects of global climate change. Now, environmental issues almost always include an interaction of physical, chemical, and biological processes. So environmental scientists bring a systems approach to the analysis of environmental problems. So key elements of an effective environmental scientist include the ability to relate space and time relationships as well as qualitative analysis. That's quantitative analysis, not qualitative analysis. That's quantitative analysis. So basically, engineering is part of that, environmental engineering. Again, you deal with natural resources, biological resources. When we talk about environmental sciences or environmental science, let me put it in a much clearer fashion. It's basically a combination of life sciences and physical sciences that all revolve around the environment. Now, environmental science came alive as a substantive, active field of scientific investigation in the 1960s and 1970s, driven by the need for a multidisciplinary approach to analyze complex environmental systems, the arrival of substantive environmental laws requiring specific environmental protocols and investigation, and the growing public awareness for need to come to action when we deal with environmental problems, because back in the 70s, there was no environmental policy. Correction, back in the 60s, there was really no environmental policy. So the Environmental Act came into play during the Nixon administration in the 70s. Now, events that spurred this development included the publication of Rachel Carson's landmark environmental book Silent Spring, and the major issues becoming very public, such as the 1969 Santa Barbara oil spill and the Cuyahoga River of Cleveland, Ohio catching fire, also in that year, 1969. And this basically helped shape the visibility of environmental issues, and academia created a new field of study. Now, when we deal with terminology and common usage, environmental science and ecology are often used interchangeably, but technically ecology refers to the study of organisms and their interactions with each other and their environment. Now, ecology could be considered a subset of environmental science, which could also involve purely chemical and public health issues. For example, ecologists would be unlikely to study. Again, when we deal with ecology, we could utilize it as a subset of environmental science, which could involve purely chemical or public health issues, for example. And of course, those types of fields, ecologists would be unlikely to study. Now, in practice, there is considerable overlap between the work of ecologists and other environmental sciences. Now, the National Center for Education Statistics in the U.S. defines an academic program in environmental science as follows. It's a program that focuses on the application of biological, chemical, and physical sciences and the principles to the study of the physical environment and the solution of environmental programs, including the subjects, again, such as abating or controlling environmental pollution and degradation. Now, the interaction between human society and the natural environment, and also natural resources management, and that includes instruction in biology, chemistry, physics, geosciences, climatology, statistics, and mathematical modeling. Now, when we talk about atmospheric sciences, we can say that deals with the Earth's atmosphere with the emphasis upon interrelation to other systems. Now, atmospheric sciences can include the studies of meteorology, greenhouse gas phenomenon, atmospheric dispersion modeling of airborne contaminants, sound propagation phenomena related to noise pollution, and even light pollution. Let me give you an example. We always talk about global warming. Now, when you use the global warming phenomenon, physicists create computer models of atmospheric circulation and infrared radiation transmission. Chemists basically examine the inventory of atmospheric chemicals and their reactions. Now, biologists analyze the plant and animal contributions to carbon dioxide fluxes, and specialists such as meteorologists and oceanographers add additional breadth in understanding the atmospheric dynamics. Now, again, going back to ecology. Ecology is the study of the interactions between organisms and their environment. Now, ecologists might investigate the relationship between a population of organisms and some physical characteristic of their environment, such as concentration of a chemical, or they might investigate the interaction between two populations of different organisms through some symbiotic or competitive relationship. For example, interdisciplinary analysis of an ecological system which is being impacted by one or more stressors might include several related environmental science fields. And in estuarine setting, where a proposed industrial development could impact certain species by water and by air pollution, biologists would describe the flora and fauna. Chemists would analyze the transport of water pollutants to the marsh. while physicists would calculate air pollution emissions and geologists would assist in understanding the marsh soils and bay muds. Now, when we deal with environmental chemistry, that's the study of chemical alterations in the environment. Principal areas include the study of soil contamination and soil contamination, and we say water pollution. Now, the topics of analysis include chemical degradation in the environment, multi-phase transport of chemicals, for example, evaporation of a solvent containing late to yield solvent, as in an air pollutant, and chemical effects upon biota. Now, as an example study, consider a case of a leaking solvent tank which has entered the habitat of an endangered species of amphibian. Well, as a method to resolve and understand the extent soil contamination and subsurface transport of a solvent, which is a substance, a computer model would be implemented. Now, chemists would then characterize the molecular bonding of the solvent to the specific soil type, and biologists would study the impacts of soil arthropods, plants, and ultimately pond-dwelling organisms that are the food of the endangered amphibian. Now, when we get into the geosciences. Now, geosciences, anything that's geo, you know it's going to be earth related, because geosciences include environmental geology, environmental soil science, volcanic phenomena, and the evolution of the Earth's crust. Now, in some classification systems, this can include hydrology, including oceanography. Those are also parts. Again, hydrology deals with water, oceanography deals with the ocean, which is a big body of water. Now, as an example of soils erosion calculations would be made of surface runoff by soil scientists. Fluvial geomorphologists would assist in examining sediment transport and overland flow. Physicists would contribute by assessing the changes in the light transmission and receiving waters, and biologists would analyze subsequent impacts of aquatic flora and fauna from increases in water turbidity. Now, when we deal with environmental science, one goes back to NEPA. If you don't know what NEPA is the National Environmental Policy Act. So, what has driven these studies in the environment? Well, we go back to the government. And I'm going to say this, and it's very true. When we talk about the government, well, in the United States, the National Environmental Policy Act, known as NEPA, of 1969, sets forth requirements for analysis of major projects in terms of specific environmental criteria. Numerous state laws have echoed these mandates, applying the principles to local scale actions. The upshot has been an explosion of documentation and study of environmental consequences before the fact of development actions. So, one can examine specifics of environmental science by reading the examples of environmental impact statements prepared by NEPA, such as water treatment expansion options, discharging into the San Diego Tijuana estuary, expansion of the San Francisco International Airport, development of the Houston Metro Transportation System, expansion of the Metropolitan Boston MBTA transit system, and the construction of Interstate 66 through Arlington, Virginia. And that's a big one because 66 used to stop at the Beltway, and they had all types of environmental problems before 66 got built. I remember that. Now, in England and Wales, the environmental agency known as EA, formed in 1996, is a public body for protecting and improving the environment and enforces the regulations listed on the communities and local government site, formerly the Office of Deputy Prime Minister. Now, the agency was set up under the Environmental Act of 1995 as an independent body, and it works closely with the UK to enforce the regulations. Now, when you deal with environment, they have a lot of policies. When we deal with permits, especially if you are going to be navigating your construction equipment in water, you got NPDES permits, you got permits that deal with environmental best management practices known as BMP. That's why when you go on construction sites, you will see this fence, you will see the silt sock, you will see all kinds of measures in place. That's put in place so sediment won't come from the site and leak into streams and creeks. Also, you have your environmental wetlands. Now, I work for the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, and we deal with that all the time. There's certain plants, certain amphibians, certain wildlife that is on the endangered species list. Now, the object of the environmental science curriculum was to basically regulate the environment for health reasons. Now, of course, you have a lot of global warming talk, but in essence, when we deal with the environment, we deal with the natural habitat, because what we have is too much development has overtaken the natural habitat for different species of animals. I remember one time the bald eagle was on life support. It was an endangered species. Now it is not an endangered species. A bog turtle, an Indiana bat, and there are other species out there that are endangered species. So when it comes to the environment, if you are a contractor in construction, you must do your due diligence by following the environmental guidelines. Now, if you're not going to do that, you will be subjected to a fine and of course, imprisonment. If you're taking HVAC, this is why they make you take your 608 examination. You want to find out from the Federal Highway Administration how you transport refrigerants. But at the end of the day, when we talk about environmental science, overall, we are talking about an interdisciplinary academic field that basically integrates life sciences such as biology and ecology, and physical sciences such as physics and chemistry. Also under life sciences, you can include zoology. Mineralogy is under physical sciences. Oceanography is under physical sciences. Limnology is under physical sciences. Geology, physical geology, atmospheric sciences, they're all under physical sciences. But when it comes to environmental science, it's basically utilized as an interdisciplinary approach to the study of environmental systems. Now that concludes this video on environmental science. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. Also, if you want controversial content, check my Red Pill content out on the 411 Talk Zone radio show. Please like, share, and subscribe to that channel. And also, if you really want some of that raw content that you can't hear on YouTube, you can go to my Blog Talk radio show. I happen to do that show during the weekends. Now, the days vary. It could be Friday, it could be Saturday, it could be Sunday. The guest calling number is 215-383-5785. Now, I haven't been taking calls on that radio show for a while because I want to do it in a podcast/commentary format so I can give you a show that's quality. I know a number of these panels on YouTube, they're not very good to me because people talk over each other. I eliminated that a long time ago where I enjoy the commentary. You can call in, but I'd rather you listen because the information is important. And if you cannot find my Blog Talk radio show or my YouTube channels, you can catch me on Facebook and YouTube. You can always email me. Again, thank you for listening to the Mind of STEM channel, where I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. You have a wonderful and blessed day. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. God bless you. Have a good day.